Greetings and hello. I am just so excited to be here. It's so funny, as we prep ourselves to do these little vignettes and things, the engineer asked me, now, you know what the topic of this is today? It's the balancing program. And so I just had to laugh because my life is this program. I love this program. I am on a campaign for everyone to have access to both hemispheres of their brain. You got to do this. You have no idea of how fabulous you are, how wonderful you are, how smart you are. You are a genius. Literally, you are divinely created, and you will have no doubt about that when you get access to more of your brain tissue. Let me tell you a little story, just very briefly. I know you've seen the information on sacred geometry, etc., but you've got to know this. I started with this program just hoping that something would help me to get over my cancer. I had to diagnose myself of a metastatic lung cancer. Going to my physicians, etc., they missed it. I had to diagnose myself. In medical school, we always play the game. If you can't diagnose, you definitely are not allowed to treat. So in that I had to diagnose myself, I wasn't interested in their recommendations for treatment, of course, which was quite invasive. Chemotherapy. Someone even had the audacity to say, well, let's do some surgery, etc., not recognizing that the type of tumor that I had immediately becomes extremely invasive when surgery is attempted. So therefore, they failed on all levels, and I recognized I was on my own. An individual, very profound, very wonderful. As a matter of fact, the originator of mediation law, who happened to be a lawyer who discovered, one great thing. There was order in the universe. There were laws in the universe. And even though he was a paid gladiator, he recognized he didn't enjoy that, but he did love bringing genuine order and agreement into people's lives. So under 25 years of duress, of pain, etc., he decided that I need to have a relief from this. And in the process, asking for that relief, he found it through a program looking at geometry. And this was for his spiritual development. He felt that perhaps if he could get more spiritual, maybe he could get more relief in having to make one person good or one person bad, or to prove someone competent or incompetent in a court of law. Well, after doing this balancing program, it allowed him to see what his real mission was, his real purpose was in life. He was to teach and live by and give instructions to individuals on how to live by the laws of the universe. Now, of course, I was interested in that, etc., but I didn't expect his recommendations to me. Now, I asked him very quietly, did he know any other doctors or anything special that could help me with eradicating this tumor in my lung? And he made this recommendation that I should do the balancing program. I was totally shocked, surprised. I mean, the balancing program, what is that? And he said, well, the pain in my life, the commitments I had made because of my inheritance as a Jewish real estate lawyer, and to take over the law firm, etc. He said, I endured that very painfully for 25 years. And after doing everything I possibly could to get relief, I asked for a greater answer. This is what was offered to me, and lo and behold, it allowed me to recognize that it's not about right or wrong, it's about communication and agreement. And so therefore I started a legal practice based on that in divorce, mediation law. And within 5 years of that new practice, I made more money than I did in my 25 years of real estate law. He said, now I don't know why this allowed me to recognize that there was a higher order of things and how that higher order really fit into my life, but perhaps some way this will help you. And I was like, that's kind of not expected, but I was like, okay, well, what does it require of me? He said, all you have to do is just look at these 3 symbols for 15 minutes, 5 minutes each, 15 minutes a day. And I'm like, is that all? So I was like, well, how much did it cost? Well, it wasn't a minuscule amount of money, but I was like, well, if it can help me in some way think better or feel better, okay, I'm sure my body would improve. And most of all, I can waste time looking at TV, 2 hours easily. And I know that that's not helping my tumor. So for 15 minutes a day, this will in some way rearrange my life, my thinking, etc. Well, I'll try it. I can't lose. If I can waste 2 hours, I know I can do 15 minutes. I'm worth that. So I took the address information. They wrote me back. I sent my signature cards in, and they sent me my little packet. The program is quite different now than it was when I started in 1986. So therefore, I got my little symbols and everything, and I looked at them. You have to look at them at least once every 24 hours. I did that. That was my commitment. 15 minutes for me. I can do 15 minutes in my behalf. Well, I tell you, for whatever reason, I started seeing all of this emotional creativity and this dishonesty and a lot of other things that I was actually nurturing. I created it. But again, I thought I was doing the best thing for this person and for that circumstance, etc. But it wasn't really what I wanted. So this new level of truth and awareness about myself was coming out. I was like, wow, I didn't recognize these things. I'd never thought about these things. What am I going to do? Well, that tumor reminded me, you got to do something. So therefore, I was like, okay, where else can I look? I happened to have invitations from the Native American Indians that they were doing sweat lodges and things like that. And I was like, well, maybe they know some herbs, etc. So I said, well, let me go and see what they know. Now, I've been getting invitations from them over the years, and I would just throw it in the garbage. My arrogance. You know, what do they know? You know, they're just, some primitive people. But I tell you, the first time when I got very clear about the fact that I need to be much more expanded and open and looking for what I thought at that time was answers, I was like, let me just be the observer, go listen and see. I tell you, they knew more about DNA and the nervous system and how the genes affect the tissues and how the environment affects the genes than I had ever heard of, even been taught in medical school, as they stood there before me in hides and feathers. So I was like, wow, this is a whole vista of understanding and learning. So I continued to do my symbols. I tell you, I started having so much fun. I changed my practice. I just did all kind of things that I would not, in my own awareness, have given myself permission to do. Well, I really became quite neglectful of my physical health from the perspective I used to be very judgmental around food. I was a strict vegan, and all the things that I said about chicken and turkey and this and that and chocolate, and the list went on. I tell you that I was having so much fun. I didn't, decide to deviate in my diet or anything, but I just was really enjoying myself instead of seeing everything as good or bad or right or wrong. So I was like, wow, I haven't really, been looking at my body. I stopped taking so many vitamin pills and herbs and things. I just started enjoying my life. I said, well, let me go to my doctor. I haven't been there in, almost 9 months. Let her draw my blood. Let's take a chest x-ray, see how I'm doing. Well, lo and behold, I went in there and she said, wow, you look wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, hope you didn't mind me not coming back, but I just really had to work through some things. No problem, you look wonderful. Let's do your chest x-ray. Did the chest x-ray. She drew the blood. Technician comes in with the chest x-rays, put them right up on the view box. I scanned it immediately. I called him before he left the room. I said, sir, you brought the wrong x-rays. So he came over and he took a look and he said, no, we haven't done any chest x-rays for over 2 weeks. And so your x-rays were the only ones in the developer box. And if you look right down at the bottom, you'll see that's your name on there. Now, why did I call him before he stepped out of the room? Because when I scanned it, the chest x-ray was totally normal. I had a huge mass taking up most of my right lower lung. Totally clear chest x-ray. Blood comes back totally normal. I tell you, when I looked at that chest x-ray and recognized it was normal, I jumped out of my body. I was shocked. So I was like, how did this happen? What did I do? How did this happen? So my colleague says, well, congratulations. I'm so glad your blood is normal. And look, that mass is all gone. What a surprise. And I was like, well, we got to write this up. Help me write. No. I don't know what you did, but I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm just really happy that you were able to take care of it. I was surprised at her reaction. I thought she'd be excited. The point being here is I could not identify what I had done. What I had done was the balancing program every day. There was not one day that I did not look at those symbols except once. And when I recognized about 1 in the morning that I had not looked at my symbols, I mean, I jumped up like a bolt of lightning had shot through me and did that program that instant. So the question is, how looking at ink in the form of geometric shapes on paper could have changed my awareness like this? My capacity to really see my life differently, change many of the things that was going on in my life, be a much more honest person, be consistent with supporting myself and my beliefs relative to the people that I really cared about. No, I was always bending and compromising and, oh, I can always do this later for myself and all of these different things. No, I was busy looking for how can we both have what we want. That was not my awareness until after doing this program. So I got very busy and I said, wow, I've got a lot of sick patients. How can I help them? Let's see what will work for them. I went to the head of the program asking if they would do a medical research study with me. Why don't we do a double blind? Those people who are seriously ill, will they do the program? If they will, we'll watch them. Those who are seriously ill, but for whatever reason won't do the program, let's watch them. Double blind study, I did not put myself in the position to decide, yes, you, no, you. I let them choose for themselves. I presented the program. If they said, oh no, I can be using this money to get my herbs, someone else would say, wow, I'll try anything. Yeah, put me on it. They divided themselves. I had a group of 100 who were on the program, a group of 100 who were not. Every one of those individuals, after 1 year, except one person, who were all seriously ill, were already into their 2nd year of survival, when they all came to me with 1 year or less of a survival rate. Only one person died. The whole group that had 6 months, 1 year survival rates given to them, they all lost their avatar. They died. That was clear to me that whatever this geometry was doing, these individuals were able to extend their life. Well, over time, we found out what these symbols were doing. So many things to the tissues. One, it definitely allows the nervous system of the human body to realign itself to the universal template of nerve tissue. There's a universal template of nerve tissue. Whether you're a worm, whether you're a rabbit, whether you're a gorilla or a human, the nerve cells are the same. The number, their connections, and the amount of information they transmit is what varies throughout the entire species of life. The same for kidney tissue, the same for skin, etc. They are universal templates, and they all are stabilized by geometry at the physical level. This is very profound, and my colleagues haven't even recognized that yet. We have a few areas in science that deal with conformation. We have a few areas that deal with change in geometric structure, especially in the nervous system, called neuroplasticity, where they know that the shape of the neurons change to accommodate and to execute specific behavior patterns, specific neurochemistry formations. But conformational biology, yes, we do have that. And that's all they do is look at the shapes the geometry, the conformations of proteins, of sugars, of fats, of carbohydrates, and the reactions that they're in. So I want to say to you that allowing yourself to participate in the Dr. Jewels Balancing Program will, first of all, bring all of your brain tissue online. Secondly, it will make sure that the main cable system, the corpus callosum, that is, every neuron contributes one arm extension of itself to make a literal cable. That cable is collected and it makes a bundle. So we see that in the nerve tissue, and there's a main bundle running from all the neurons in the left hemisphere, all the neurons in the right hemisphere, and they cross in the middle of the brain. It's known as the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the main cable system that, when stabilized, can carry a specific amount of electromagnetic energy at all times. It doesn't vacillate. In most individuals, that main cable system vacillates in its capacity to conduct electromagnetic frequencies, i.e. for us, thoughts, as well as the products of thinking, which is neurotransmitters that the neurons make. That's stabilized. With that stabilization, now having access to both hemispheres of the brain, you have a greater expanded awareness of everything. You can see it differently. You can recognize you have greater options, and most of all, you get the sense that you can change, what at one point would have appeared to you to be impossible. Thirdly, you love what it does for your tissues. That's one thing they used to tell me at the original program. We don't know why everybody looks younger. They don't seem to age as much. They always feel better. They're able to handle imbalances much easier. They don't get sick, and people who are sick get much, much better. The list goes on and on and on and on. One thing I do want to throw in here, though, is that I am so much more intelligent. I don't know if it's an increase in my confidence, but I tell you, I'm able to grasp any type of information that I decide I want to. So whether it's mathematics, which I used to really kind of draw away from, hardcore science, the arts, poetry, a lot of these things, basically I was like, well, I'm not interested, I don't really understand. There's nothing that I cannot comprehend, regardless of how new it is. This is because I have so much more brain tissue that allows me to access data and information. So I'm not going to take too much of your time here. I do want you to have some other information, but our program is fabulous. One last thing, I do want you to understand that JEWEL is an acronym for Justifiably Enchanted with Enlightened Living. And that is why this is known as Dr. Jewels Balancing Program, because this program will allow you, without question, to become justifiably enchanted with enlightened living. So enjoy our program, believe in yourself, invest in yourself, and give yourself all of your brain. I love you. Bye-bye.